from central LA to the Santa Monica Mountains to the San Fernando Valley, increased noise and other impacts from air traffic have been disrupting people's lives and livelihoods. The FAA has broad authority over our airspace, and safety must be its #1 concern. But there's much more the FAA can and should be doing to address the quality of life issues of residents and businesses on the ground below. Take the West Adams neighborhood, for example, where residents and businesses have been complaining about changes in flight path, increases in number of flights, and the elevation which those flights are coming in, all contributing to disruptive noise. So my office, along with the Office of Council President Wesson and experts from LA World Airports, have been convening with the FAA. We put several proposals on the table that would have concrete benefit to the residents of this community. Unfortunately, these discussions have not yielded tangible results, and so this week my office sued the FAA. We have two claims. First, the FAA should have conducted a thorough environmental review before making these changes to the flight path. And second, the FAA has a website on flight procedures, and for years people have been able to weigh in on that website, including about environmental issues. But recently the FAA changed the rules so that now if a member of the public wishes to weigh in on environmental issues, that person has to acknowledge in advance as a condition of weighing in on the website that the FAA will not take their environmental comment into account. So we're suing to give a voice to the residents of West Adams who deserve that environmental review, and to all Americans. On the other side of the hill, residents and businesses have been enduring dramatic changes to flights, many more flights, a lot more noise from flights, thousands and thousands of complaints. Our goal should be to disperse those flights so that no community bears an undue burden from the impact of air traffic. And toward that end, I've been communicating directly with the regional administrator of the FAA and legal counsel, as well as local officials and key members of Congress. You might know, for example, that local officials, myself, members of Congress, all joined together to call on the FAA to conduct a thorough environmental assessment of prospective changes in flight patterns, and the FAA agreed. It also agreed in that process to consider the possibility of dispersing those flights. In addition, my office and others called on the FAA to respond with concrete ideas about how they can mitigate the noise now. Congressmembers Sherman and Schiff then contributed a letter supporting that objective. The senators of the state of California, Congress members Sherman and Schiff, joining with Senators Feinstein and Harris, have called on the FAA to convene what's called a noise roundtable. That noise roundtable would enable the FAA to join with us to address meaningful concerns on the ground here. I strongly support what's called a Part 175 study. Leaders from the Hollywood Burbank Airport have called on the FAA to do this. That study allows for consideration of dispersing flights. In the meantime, recently, Hollywood Burbank Airport leaders have called the FAA to actually change flight patterns to give some relief to Valley residents. I've been communicating directly with members of Congress. I think there should be a House Aviation Subcommittee hearing conducted on the issues we're confronting here and around the country. And recently, Congress members Schiff and Sherman submitted a letter along with other members of Congress seeking an investigation of how the FAA is actually addressing noise impacts here and across the country from changes in flight patterns. I'm going to be actively monitoring the FAA's actions on both sides of the hill, on all these issues. As you can tell, there's a great deal going on because we're committed to protecting your quality of life. I'm Mike Feuer, the Los Angeles City Attorney. Thanks for watching.